Okay, now before I start this review, I should give you a little update of what's been going on in my personal life. I was planning on making this review earlier, and I swear to God, I would have made this review earlier if it wasn't for something that kind of happened. As you can see right now, I am in a cast. I had this little accident a week ago. It was actually a week before my birthday. Yeah, my birthday was on Saturday. I turned 15, so, wish me a happy birthday if you want to. In the comment box below, that would be pretty cool. What happened was I was fooling around with a weight, something you should never do, never fool around with dumbbells. I wasn't lifting weights at that time, even though I do lift weights. The consequence of fooling around with the dumbbell was that the dumbbell fell on my fingers. It broke my middle one, fractured my forefinger. My nail came off. I went into like 2 surgeries so far. I might lose the tip of my finger. They're not sure yet. It did come off. They sewed it back together. So I wasn't in the proper place to be reviewing Scream 4. Now my index finger right now is exposed. It is really bruised up. Yeah. So Scream 4, I saw this movie on my birthday a couple of days ago. I'm a huge fan of the Scream series. I've not seen the third one because everyone says it sucks. But the first Scream was at one time my favorite movie of all time. That was before I was, really more of a snob. The reason why I love the Scream series so much is that I am a huge fan of horror. I've always been a fan of those kind of cliched horror movies. Like, I've seen all of the Friday the 13th movies. I've seen the Halloween series, the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I'm a big fan of that slasher genre, My Bloody Valentine, all that kind of stuff. Which means I know the rules of horror movies. Never have sex, never do drugs, and never say, "I'll be right back." If you're in a slasher and you do those things, you will die. It's a fact. You cannot do those things in a horror movie and live. I think there's one person who has ever done any of those things in the movie and ever lived. Now, what the Scream movies manage to do is make fun of that kind of genre, yet still manage to be really scary. Not to mention they are severely entertaining. Now, the fourth movie has been getting really, really good reviews. I was really pumped up to see this movie. I wasn't a big fan of the first trailer, but I really liked the second trailer, and I was pretty excited. Now, after seeing it, it's not nearly as good as the first 2 Screams, but I still really did enjoy it. The premise is basically just the same as all the other sequels. It's the anniversary of the killings from the first movie, and some copycat killers are doing the same thing that the original Ghostface did. It's calling up people, giving them scary movie trivia, which I would get every answer right to, so I would live, and then killing them. 3 main actors who have been in every single Scream movie so far, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, and Neve Campbell, they're all great in this movie. Now, the new actors did pretty good. In my opinion, the 2 best were Rory Culkin and Hayden Panettiere. The rest of the supporting actors were pretty good, except for Emma Roberts. I really wasn't a big fan of her. I didn't think she did very good at all. I am a really big fan of Wes Craven. Like I said, I love the original Scream. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. Some other movies I like that he did is Shocker, Deadly Blessing, Hills Have Eyes, Red Eye, Cursed. The one movie I really don't like of him that I think is extremely overrated is The Last House on the Left. That was his first movie, and I really didn't enjoy that one at all. I thought it was terrible. I know a lot of horror fans would probably want to kill me, but I mean, just watch it again. I know it's really influential, but come on, it's not very good at all. His direction in here wasn't the best. I think he did much better in the first 2 movies at this atmosphere of how it's more kind of realistic, and it feels more like one of those movies it's spoofing, this 4th installment. What I really enjoyed about this movie was from the beginning right until before the end. The first 3/4 of this movie I thought were really intense. I was really getting into it. Everyone was doing a really great acting job. Some surprising moments, there were some funny moments, and then they revealed the killers. Now, some douchebag on IMDb had to ruin who the killers were for a lot of people, including me. So I knew who the killers were before I saw this movie. I think the reveal of them was pretty surprising. The killers' motives were really not done well. It seemed like the killers' motives were just kind of thought up like in a second, and there really wasn't enough work put into them. And even worse, they were cliched. And I know a lot of the Scream series are cliched, and they acknowledge that, but they don't acknowledge the cliches of the killers' motives in this at all. And you don't feel like they're kind of spoofing the cliches. It's just, and the end goes on and gets really silly. But before that, I was a really big fan of it, and I was really enjoying it, which means that I enjoyed most of this movie. So I would recommend Scream 4 to the people who have seen the first 3. I hope if there's a Scream 5 that there's a lot more work put into the killer's motives. I hope it's a lot more clever. It did kind of feel like this was just another another average Scream sequel, and I hope it's not the last one. But it is definitely not terrible. I'm gonna give this 7.5 out of 10. It's pretty close to an 8 because I was really enjoying it up to the end. Yes, see Scream 4, and another movie you should definitely see, I don't know if I'm going to review it or not, is Insidious. If you haven't seen that, that is one of the scariest movies I have ever seen. Seriously, I've seen about 300 something horror movies that are supposed to be scary, and Insidious is one of the 5 that have scared me. So check that out and check Scream 4 out. And I'm probably going to be seeing Fast 5 soon. So yeah, I'm going to go watch all of the Fast and Furious movies. Bye.